What is up, Legionnaires? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm back for part 2 of the Affordable Key comic video series. This time we're doing licensed properties. If you don't know what those are, I'm sure you actually might have a better idea than you may think. Let's get into it. Stick around to the end of the video to see how you can get in on the action to potentially bring home the CGC 8.0 Hulk 180, the first appearance of Wolverine. All right, so let's get into it. I'm doing 10 key comics this time. Last video I did 5. This time around I'm doing 10. There's just too many to choose from, and these got really interesting really early on, and I wanted to look further into these. So licensed properties is when a comic company does not own the rights to the character, so they rent them. So every single one of these books that we'll be looking at today are not owned by the publisher that produced them. They were rented out by them. So let's kick it off. But before we do, let's give a huge shout out and thank you to Big Time Collectibles. Be sure to check them out at their website. Follow them on social media. If you haven't already, you can find the link to them down in the description, as well as the link to my homie Justin. If you need anything clean to press for this holiday season or any season, hit the link down below. Let them know you found via the channel. And as always, a huge shout out to the local LCS, ABX Comics and Games. Fantastic comic group, link down below for Facebook. All right, guys, so 10 of these in no particular order. Now, with the last video, part 1, if you missed it, we looked at all CGC 9.8s and high-grade raw books. These will be a little different. Most of these will fall under that category, but some of these are going to be hitting in different grade ranges, but they are still affordable, and it might be a great time to get a copy if this is a licensed property that you love. So the one that we're going to start off is the one that is responsible for me having the idea to do licensed properties, and this is none other than Big G himself, Godzilla from 1977. While this is not Godzilla's first appearance, Godzilla issue 1 from Marvel is his first solo series. It ran for a while, and it has been the kind of go-to book, as he first appeared in an Archie book where he did not make a large appearance. This was really his first big splash. So a CGC 9.8 for this one is pretty unobtainable if you're running on a budget. It's $361, but a raw copy comes in under $100 at $95. That is a great opportunity to score a raw one in a nice high grade and send it in and get it graded yourself if that's something you're capable or willing to do. There's a large gap between those values. The record high sale of this book in the CGC 9.8 went for $991. So this book has come down drastically. And with the Monarch-led Legacy of Monsters on Apple TV right now, Godzilla -1 dropping at the end of this week right here. If you're a channel member, you could be watching this early, but if you're not, Godzilla -1 drops tomorrow for those early premieres. So I'm big excited for that. Me and the whole family are going. So this might be a great opportunity to get in, as it looks like the MonsterVerse popularity is about to be running for like the next year. Brand new Kong x Godzilla film next year as well. This next one, of course, this is on my list. Of course, if you know me or follow the channel or follow my social medias at all, you know I'm a fan. Avatar. James Cameron's Avatar. This is the first appearance of Avatar in any comic format. It was from a free comic book day book back in 2013, so it has no number. In a CGC 9.8, you can pick it up for under $200 at $178. In a raw copy high grade, you can get them as little as $10. All of these values that I'm showing today are populated by coverprice.com. They are not a sponsor, but I'm just, again, still trying to use some of the tools and resources out there. I did it for my graded comic collection series. I want to do it for this series. Might switch up for what comes after. But this is also a good spread, 10 to 178. And while this is the first appearance of Avatar in comics and Jake Sully specifically, it's not in the first appearance of any of the supporting cast like Neytiri or anybody. So be sure to check out other Avatar books if you're looking for your favorite character outside of Jake Sully. Next one, this is no surprise to anybody. It's probably the hottest non-Big Two book on the market these days, and that is Transformers issue number 1 from 1984, the first appearance of the Autobots and the Decepticons. Now, this one's coming in super duper high. Record high sell on this one is $3,000. Right now at 9.8 goes for $1,500, but you can get a mid-grade copy in a CGC for as little as $84. A mid-grade of a raw copy, $65. So it's almost worth it more just to go ahead and buy a nice, clean, mid to higher grade, like a 7, 8 around there for like $80. I mean, that's kind of a steal. The difference between that and those 9.8 exclusive ones is just light years. But That's way down from 3,000. And if you think that's a huge price tag, this next one is the biggest one on the list, I believe, most definitely. And this one just kicked off like a week or two ago. Wherever there's Transformers, you know, these people are not far behind, and that's none other than the G.I. Joe. First appeared in G.I. Joe Real American Hero back in 1982. Record high sale is $4,900 right now. That CGC 9.8 would run you about $903, but you can get a mid-grade copy in a raw for $71 or CGC for $78. So you're not seeing much of a difference, a split in between those two. So again, it's one of those opportunities where you might just want to go ahead and grab a CGC one. I grabbed a 9.2 CGC this past year at Heroes Con for right at $100. So there's good deals to be had, in the market is severely down right now. I mean, just think about that. $4,900. Now it's under $1,000. That's why I felt this series was really worth making. Just to look at the drop in these prices, maybe start watching for more drops and kind of determine by, I mean, you have to really make the decision with yourself. What do you consider the bottom for some of these? What's your bottom? Everyone's going to have different bottoms when they're ready to jump in on some of these, but they don't stop there. Those were the big hitters, but this one right here is a sleeper hit. I'm excited that I picked up the entire miniseries for it, but it's none other than Dune. This was a 3-issue miniseries published by Marvel Comics in 1985. Yes, Dune. The same Dune that's releasing, I think, right at the beginning of the year, we get Dune Part 2. It's a Denis Villeneuve directed film. It's had numerous successful films in the past, but it's a great opportunity to jump in on the comic version of it if you don't want to read the actual novels. This is the first appearance. You can get a raw copy for $13. The CGC is only going to run you just over $100 at $108. That seems like a good one to me. I really enjoyed that new Dune movie. Very excited for the second one. Now, here's another one that you know's on the list. If you're hitting some of these licensed property, you cannot go far without thinking about this one. Predator issue number 1, featuring the first appearance of the Predator in comics, is from 1988. While a 9.8 currently will run you $506 with a record high of $1,000, a 9.2 only run you about $92. The raw copy being roughly 88. So that's another one where it's like the 9.8 is way high, but you drop a grade and dude, it's like all day, every day. So of course, like peas and carrots, if you got Predator, you got to have Alien. And that's what's next on the list. We have Aliens number 1, the first appearance of Aliens in comic books. This is another one of those ones that have a record high sale of $7.5 thousand. Current CGC 9.8s go for about $2,900. This is not a cheap book, but if you come down just a hair on the grade, a 9.4 CGC only goes for $124. A raw copy in a comparable grade, about $63. This is definitely a book that I don't own, surprisingly, not at least in a floppy copy. I've got the old school Dark Horse Omnibus, but that's one that I feel like definitely need to get, especially now that 20th Century Fox seems to be like they're working on projects. They put out Prey a year or so ago. They're working on their next Alien installment. I don't see those franchises ever going out of style. They're some of the first movie franchises that I absolutely fell in love with. But my all-time love when it comes to movie franchises is none other than the king of all kings. That is King Kong, who first appeared in Western's Gold Key, King Kong, in 1968. While there's no CGC data worth reporting because they're so rare to see out there, and a 9.6 copy goes for $288 with a record $600, they're just so few and far between. I do have this book in a raw. I'm thinking I ought to get one graded since there's so few out there graded. I don't know about the census, but at least floating around in the current buyer's market. A raw copy run you about roughly $80. So I feel like I stole the copy I got. I got it from Heroes Con as well. Fantastic book, fantastic cover. Gold Key put out some bangers over the years. They worked heavily with licensed properties like through most of their existence through Dell and Gold Key. All the old Hanna-Barbera stuff, early Disney stuff, all those cartoon comics, all under Gold Key. And I didn't put any of those on the list because, I mean, I went more with what I personally like. So I didn't go diving into old Disney cartoons or a lot of like Johnny Quest or Hanna-Barbera stuff, but just went with the stuff that I personally love. And what's not to love about our next one on the list? Coming in number 9, we have RoboCop issue number 1, which is a one-off Marvel magazine. And it's part man, part machine, all cop in this oversized magazine format. First appearance of RoboCop from 1987. Raw copy is going to run you about $25, while a CGC and a 6.0 can get you in under 100 for $99. CGC 9.8 right now is currently valued at $552 with a record high sell of $800. So getting in at under $100 isn't a bad idea. These are magazine size again. So if you are going to go shop for one of those, be sure to look closely. CGC does have the new and improved magazine size holders. I would definitely never buy one if it wasn't in a new holder. I have one CGC magazine size at this point in my collection. It's absolutely awful. They're terrible. So I'm glad that they actually updated those. So we're down to it, number 10 on the list, and don't go anywhere. We'll talk about that 180 after this. So if you don't know, if you haven't guessed by now, I saved probably the best for last. In my opinion, when it comes to licensed properties, there's not one that I think deserves to have some recognition more than this franchise right here, Terminator, from Now Comics back in 1988. Issue number 1 of the Terminator drop, featuring the first appearance. And this right here only runs you $15 raw. While this is not the same one that you would see later when it switched over in companies and everything, and even Marvel published some of the movie adaptations, this is the first. And a CGC 9.6 is only fair marketed at $45. Record high sell on this book, $529. Current CGC 9.8 does go for a whopping $286. So this one is affordable to get in on. I don't know what it is about this one that just flies under people's radar. It seemed like that Terminator number 1, I believe from Dark Horse, it's almost like the split picture with the soldier on one side and the whole T-800 skeleton on the other side seems more like desirable, the one that people go for. But that one from Now Comics is the actual first. But that's the 10 that I chose. Leave me some comments down below what some of your favorite licensed properties are. I would definitely like to hear about it. So let's see what we got here. First off, like I said, last off, if you want your opportunity to get in on this book right here, this is the time of the year where me and DJ Links decided to come together and do another community members appreciation event. If you're a channel member on mine or DJ's, the next 2 months starting December 1st, this is all about you guys, and that's what we're doing it with, is that CGC 8.0. So be sure to hit that join button down below and check out this video right here if you want more details and how to get in and on the action and all that. I'm not going to keep you any much farther. I appreciate everybody watching. If you haven't yet, be sure to hit that thumbs up. It helps with the eternal battle against the YouTube algorithm. And hit that subscribe button. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.